it's the
Yeah.
worst position to leave somebody in where they're guessing. And how many times have we talked to people and, "Oh, how's it going?" And they say, "I don't know."
Clear thinking, cogently discussed. If that's what you're looking for, you may have come to the wrong spot. On the other hand, they are nice guys. Mark and Mike, it doesn't take a genius.
Ramsey!
Marshall, a pleasure to see you today. I would like to note, for the record, for those watching on YouTube, that I appear to be tanned. That is partly the light that we have discussed in previous episodes. It is also because I spent 12 hours straight outside at my kids' swim conference meet end of season event. So I'm just happy to be sitting down right now, Mike. So
Oh, yes, yes. How did the Dolphins fare this year?
uh they did their best, and they did it on purpose. I was very impressed with their performance. Everybody improved. That's always the swim conferences is the swim meets. By the time you get to the end, it's like you start to figure out, points, winning, etc. Did I get better? Did I lose time? And you have those little conversations to help the kid double click and make note of what they learned. And sometimes these conversations are super, super valuable. Just conversations that drive performance, you might say.
Well, and you've got a wide variety of personalities.
Yep.
And you've got a wide variety of ages.
Yep.
But are there consistent lessons that can be learned?
Let me tell you a quick story. My son gets the start, dives off the blocks. He's swimming a beautiful breaststroke, and makes it all the way to the second set of flags, really keeping up with the swimmers in his heat. One little problem, it was the butterfly event. So he got into the turn aware of his mistake and corrected it. But of course, he knows that's a disqualification, so he got DQ'd, and he knew that it would happen. But the funny thing is that when he got to his next event, it was breaststroke. He was very aware it was breaststroke, and he dropped 5 seconds off of his time. And he's a beginning swimmer. He's newer to the sport, and this is his first real full season. First time he's ever done 50s, where you have to do a flip turn and head back, or some sort of turn and head back. So big accomplishment for him, and the DQ is just part of it. Now, there were some other strokes that some of my kids got DQ'd, and I don't know if you grew up with any experience with this, but I got DQ'd when I was in on a swim team, same swim team as these guys, and it was at conference. And for my poor youngest, she just bawled her eyes out because she had won her heat in breaststroke, but her kick was off. She was doing a scissor kick where it was going past each other instead of the feet meeting together perfectly. Just one of those things. You're learning how to make the stroke a little bit better, a little bit more accurately. And so, huge learning for the next time she does it. But the thing is, nobody's doing that kind of grading at your regular swim meets. It's only when you go to conference where you're for sure going to have somebody who's trained and assigned to look at the kids' strokes and verify that they're, doing them correctly with the correct technique. So, so I sort of wanted to talk about that today, Mike, that, all of a sudden at the end, you finally get some negative feedback, and kind of would have been nice to get some feedback a little bit earlier, right? That's at least what we think. So,
Oh, yeah.
feedback.
Well, as you were sharing your story, I'm thinking that's exactly what I was thinking was the quote. Well, that would have been nice to know sooner.
Right.
Like, that was a key piece of information. If shared earlier, would have
Right.
helped me tremendously. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
and to be to give the full story here, they have a stroke clinic at the beginning of the season. They're learning. Really good instructors for our stroke clinic. They have coaches who are giving them feedback during practice. Learning. All of this is theoretical, though, right? It's not until you get to the meet where you have a race where they can say, actually, you can't even win this because of how you just did that stroke.
Mm-hmm.
That's when there's enough of a formal feedback mechanism where there's actual consequences, where it allows some kids to go, oh, really? Oh, like, so I can't do that, right? The learning has been there. They theoretically could have learned the whole time, but there's something about that moment of, actually, we're going to have to pause this whole thing and tell you, no, you cannot go forward on this. There is a negative consequence to you doing the stroke wrong.
Mm-hmm.
That happens when you have a DQ judge, and it happens, I think, in life.
Oh
I think
yeah.
there's a broader appeal here.
Oh no, I think it goes to one of the things that we're frequently fond of saying, which is clarity is kindness.
100%.
So being perfectly clear up front, and in this case earlier, would
Yeah, right.
be would be the nicest thing that you or the coach could have done for the kids. And it's no guarantee that they would have learned the lesson without the disappointing disqualification. And I believe you said, what? Yeah, one of your kids actually won the event, only to
Yeah.
learn later that they were disqualified and stripped of their gold medal and all their promotion and endorsements from Adidas and all the other companies.
Several Body Armor was pursuing them. We were willing to do that because of their connection with Dude Perfect. But anyway, yeah,
So
you're spot on, and that's sort of even the funnier part is that in the case of DQs, often you don't find out until much later. So you don't even get that in the moment feedback that we know is so valuable. We've talked about so many times on the podcast, but getting the feedback later still was super valuable. She's, bless her heart, she's 7. She was so proud. And then when she realized, I mean, she just crumpled, right? And this is, an hour, 2 hours maybe after the event. We were there 12 hours. I'm really, like, I just want to tell you how glad I am to be sitting in the air conditioning right now. But
yeah.
yeah, she that still was enough for her to get the lesson, right? Oh, I'm not first place, and this is why. It came through loud and clear. So
Mm-hmm.
just that ability to have a formal feedback, a formal consequence of some kind, just was so powerful.
Oh, it's where the greatest lessons come from. We talk about change and that there is no change without discomfort.
Yep.
Discomfort can take the form of pain or attraction.
Yep.
Either something I don't ever want to have happen again or something that I want to work towards.
Yep.
And sometimes it's a combination of those two things. In this case, you've got a wonderful combination.
Yeah.
But you've got the discomfort, the pain of, here I am doing my end zone dance,
Yep.
celebrating my gold first finish, and then they take it from me.
And let's rip it away.
Wow. As a kid, as an adult, you're like, it's just wondering. As a kid, this was a big part of my life because I've spent literally 50% of my life getting ready for this event.
Right.
I'm only 6, but I spent 3 years in the pool. So half my life has been for this moment, and it was taken from me. And then the attraction of, wow, I can do this. If I do it well, I
Right.
can win at this. And so the idea of, I want to get back to the podium. I want to be successful at this particular endeavor. So I've got the pain of, I don't ever want this to happen again. The attraction of, I really want to experience the joy of winning and success and personal improvement. Man, that's so you have 2 huge elements that are critical for change.
So uh, it's I love the way you're combining the positive and the negative, the attraction to one thing, the repulsion from something you don't want, and we see this so often, right? In some people, it's just enough to say, "I just don't want to lose." Like that's enough for them to say, "I'm going to pursue that that new sales goal or a sales title or crown or whatever." Um, I I had another example. I wrote about this on the blog years ago, but my kids in judo, they were roughhousing, and at the end of practice, sensei uh, sentenced them to 50 sit-ups. So everybody
Ooh.
had to do 50 sit-ups. Uh, One of my youngsters thought that this was, uh, funny, and this is a very gentle man, the sensei, and he raised his voice and made it stern. He said, "You will be banned from the next practice. That is what has happened now." And they got sober really quickly. And then he turned and winked at me because he knew that actually we were going to be out of town the next week and we're going to miss practice anyway. But like that was enough to make the point, right? Like he was able to draw a line in the sand. Um, but then he, like I said, he's a very gentle man. So he flips it all the way back around. He says, "Look, we're not going to have this problem, I don't think, anymore. I really don't like raising my voice and having to dole out a consequence. And you guys are getting so good and you're so close to getting your yellow belt." And so now we're talking about the yellow belt at the same time that we're sobered up on, the negative consequence. So I don't know. I feel like, kids get to experience this, just very raw, and sometimes we in management in teams we miss that opportunity to make it as real as we possibly can and make it, I keep saying the word formal, I don't know that that's necessarily the right word, but something where we're just extremely conscious that a moment has happened, there has been a consequence because of the lack of performance or what have you, and we get this moment of negative feedback where we truly get a chance to learn. So I just think that's valuable. I wish we all had a DQ judge, and I wish we had it sooner rather than later.
Oh yeah, no, and you extrapolate that into the workplace.
Yep.
I had an example. I'm talking to a general manager. The month was over. One of the salespeople, you needed to get to 12 sold units in order to get the next bonus level.
Yep.
And the salesperson was at 11. They'd worked really hard. They got to 11. And the general manager and I were, we're like, wow, what do you do here? And then the owner came in and he's a little more black and white, especially because it's his money. he goes, "What's the rule? The rule is you have to get 12. Did they get 12? No. Then
Sorry,
we don't
guys.
pay them.
Yep.
Right? They don't get the bonus level, but I guarantee you it'll never happen again.
Yeah.
They will never get to 11 without getting to 12.
Yeah. That's
Right. And you're right. You're like, yep, we got to stick to our guns here. We can't back off on this because now it becomes an expectation. And we just had to toe the line and follow the rules and say, man, we'll do whatever we can to help you improve your skills so that this never happens again. And so, yeah, it was the kindest thing to do was to clearly state that this level of performance doesn't get you the extra good stuff that the next level gets you.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And just to have like the boundary line very clear, right? I'll give you another example for my kids that happened this week. We are packing for a trip, and they, as all children, just like crack cocaine addicts, are desperate for screen time. They want screen time so bad in whatever form. Like if dad is watching a business video, they will gather around my phone. I'm like, go away. You don't even care about this. None of this matters. They just love screen time, right? So I said, well, when you have packed for the trip, you may have screen time. And there was a lot of belly aching for a while, and then they kind of got down to business. And here the best part is, I can't pack, Dad, because I don't have any shorts. What do you mean you don't have any shorts? We just did laundry. I'll do a load here, but I don't even think you have shorts in here. Where are your shorts? Oh, well, let's open the closet. The closet of shame. It is just stuff everywhere. Then next thing you know, not only had we found shorts and several very nice polos and slacks that had been wadded up in the bottom of the cubbies, but they actually got their closet clean, and believe it or not, felt pretty good about it. Like, oh yeah, I love this shirt. Let me put this on the rack here. Well, none of that happens if Dad doesn't set the boundary line and say, hey, screen time's great, but we're not going to cheat on this one. You have to do this before the other thing happens. So, it's I don't think that's mean, just for the record. I think that's just reality. And I think Henry Cloud says in Boundaries for Leaders, reality is everyone's boss, right? Someday you're going to have a DQ judge. Someday you're going to have the event in life where the money isn't there. Whatever it is you're trying to achieve, you didn't achieve it. Reality is going to set in. And so giving your employees that window to say that, here's the line. We're clear on the line. There's a negative consequence after that boundary. There's a positive consequence after that boundary, whatever it is that line represents. To be clear with our people on that is just absolutely the kindest thing you could do. Clarity is kindness, because reality is everyone's boss.
Oh yeah. Well, and to allow people to operate in a vague system, a system where they don't know clearly what the expectations, the goals, the rules, how they're being measured for success. If you don't know that, so if clarity is kindness, unclear is unkind.
Yeah.
It's the worst position to leave somebody in, where they're guessing. And how many times have we talked to people and, well, how's it going? And they say, I don't know.
Right.
I think I'm doing a good job. I'm getting some stuff done, but I never get any feedback. So I leave every day having worked really hard with no idea if that's exactly what I was supposed to be doing to move the department, to move the organization, to move my boss forward. I don't know, but I just keep working, hoping that at some point somebody will say, hey, you're on the wrong path, or wow, you're fantastic, keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah. And what kills me about that is that if you allow that as the leader to go on long enough, people think that is how they're supposed to operate. Like, we just operate, just do whatever, and they never get clarity. Performance never changes, growth never happens, and they're shocked when a change is made. Talk about unkind, right? Talk about unkind. They thought it was normal to just live in vagueness and not have any boundaries, but not kind at all. Yeah. Love that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we had a department. This department was losing well over $100,000 a month. So we went in and we were changing some things, moving some people around, changing some job roles, and people just lost their minds. Why are you messing with us? Why are you messing with this department? Why are you changing things? They were just going crazy. And we said, all right, so are you aware that your department's losing 100,000 plus a month? No. How long's that been going on?
That's the best
about
part.
2 years.
Yikes.
There's been $1 million just gone here that the owner is been paying on your behalf, and other departments have been supporting you. And they were like, well, I'd change stuff too. What else can we do? They were all in, but but nobody had ever shared with them, right, that they were losing money. The department was not profitable, and they were angry that no one had told them. They were embarrassed that other departments were having to carry them. And the resistance to change drop dramatically.
Yeah, spot on. I think that is a great example of sort of where we see this as a practical application. We think you ought to be talking to your people. There ought to be an agreement on this. This is where the boundaries are. These are the goals, and this is how you're doing. And then, those boundary lines, whatever they are, they need to be stuck with and communicated, and there should be consequences, formal consequences. I don't know what that looks like for your particular organization, dear reader, dear listener. But I do think that has to be made clear as a part of the package as well, so that people know, like they won't be surprised if they, have a remedial course that they're required to attend. They won't be surprised if they get fired, but that there will be something there that anchors them to this is the performance, the behaviors that we're looking for. Just a gift for your people. So that might look like a scoreboard, right? I mean, I can hear you preaching this right now, that, having something on the wall that makes it clear this is what we're shooting for and this is how we're doing might be a way that you implement this episode.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. The idea of gamification, the idea of here's where we're at, here's where we're going, and here's the gap left to be filled.
Yep.
And here's your role that will help fill that gap. Man, people are looking for clarity. They're looking for feedback, and whether it's a one-on-one conversation, it's a scoreboard, and best of all, both of those things, it working in combination. Now you got something, and now no one's surprised. No one's they don't look up at the end of the year and instead of DQ, they're getting their release, their termination papers.
Yep.
And had no idea that they were doing it wrong or that they weren't on the path.
Which brings us to another very practical application, which is you should be having regular conversations with your people. It should be clear, right? It should be clear how they are doing, how we're doing. And that's a little bit of a preview for our next episode, where we're going to talk about some very specific kinds of conversations you really ought to be having. I'll leave that there because that's a whole different kettle of fish that we're going to talk about next time.
Fantastic. Looking forward to it. And speaking of clarity is kindness, there's our announcer, Mr. Wolf. Never minces words, always telling us just exactly what's on his mind. Take it away, Mr. Wolf.
Thanks.
So go ahead and tweet that, or share it any other way you want. As always, there are no rights reserved, no trademarks, no copyrights. Share it if you want to. And join us next time on It Doesn't Take a Genius.
That's good enough.